And welcome everybody to another glorious episode of the Put On Waivers podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, podcasting on the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day today. I'm out here in Southern California. A little overcast, but still a little breezy. Nice, relaxed day. Sweatshirt weather, if you will. Sweatshirt and shorts. Something my partner knows very well. James, how you doing today?
Doing good.
James wears that in the wintertime.
Pretty much.
Our partner is James Amato at JR_Amato 824, and I'm RTPOW podcast as well on Twitter, if you will, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. It's under the Cover 3D Raiders channel. For some reason, they won't let me change the name of the channel on YouTube. I don't know why they won't let me change it, but they won't let me change it. So don't worry about that. 858-429-9465 is the text line. We got some questions off that text line as well. And Carlsbad, California, Cooperstown, New York, Butte, Montana, Miami, Florida, and Kansas City, Missouri. I want to thank you guys for listening to the for the Put On Waivers podcast, MLB baseball show, if you will. James, I want to start a little bit off the beaten path real quick. I know we had a little bit of a rundown here, but you remember, so just recently, last week, I think it was this week or last week, Jared Kelenic, the highly touted prospect who came to the Seattle Mariners in the Diaz trade. I think the fact that he's part of a Mets trade kind of amped up his not ability, but more of his what people want to talk about him about, as far as like how in depth they want to go with him. Do you remember, like, just growing up a baseball fan, who was a guy who you just thought he was gonna kill it, be a great player? He had he was a prize prospect, and just didn't end up panning out. And you just heard his name over and over again, and it just didn't happen.
Well, I mean, obviously, the first one that pops into mind as someone who never made it in the big leagues was Billy Beane. Obviously, we heard so much about Billy Beane coming up and just, the career he had. But honestly, it was Joe Charbonneau who had this magical season for the Cleveland Indians in 1980, Rookie of the Year. And you never heard from him again after 1982. 1981 was a horrible season for him. And in 82, I think he lasted half a season before being sent down. His claim to fame after leaving Major League Baseball was he was one of the baseball extras in The Natural.
Oh,
so
really?
he was one of the teammates on The Natural. So yeah, so Joe Charbonneau's the guy who but he came out of nowhere. Like, you didn't really hear about him in the minor leagues. But Billy Beane was that person that you heard a lot about, who just never panned out to be what he was supposed to be.
Yeah. I think one was, growing up on the East Coast, you couldn't even go anywhere near the Mets and talk about, and I hear Mets fans talk about Craig Jeffries. I thought Craig Jeffries was like, everybody thought Craig Jeffries was something else, right? Because he was doing all these different crazy workouts. He was doing, swinging a bat underwater, doing all these things like that. It didn't really pan out with the Mets. Had a whole bunch of different problems, but could not get it going with the Metropolitans. I think Craig Jeffries was one of the guys who I thought, kind of New York thought he was going to be a superstar, and just never panned out in New York. Another guy, who I thought was it Brian Taylor for the Yankees, who was a big, strong left-handed pitcher.
Brian Taylor was, after those horrible early 90 years, late 80s, early 90s, Yankees got him as the number one overall pick, left-handed and pitcher. And he ended up getting into a bar fight the following year, broke his arm, broke his shoulder, just never didn't even touch the big leagues, let alone AAA. Greg Jeffries, though, had a very, not successful career, but he had a moderate career. I think he got 10 years. I think he's got a nice little pension coming. I know he came back and haunted the Mets a couple times, but
What
um,
about what about Generation K?
yeah, well, that whole pitching staff, even the Yankees had some of those pitchers too. You had heard a lot about. I remember one being Sam Militello, who was supposed to be a lifesaver.
Yeah.
He had like a good career debut and then just never panned out. And you think about when they Phil Hughes and Joba
Mm-hmm.
Chamberlain. I mean,
Jabba Chamber,
after
yeah.
after that first
Jabba
year, Java
rules.
was
Jabba
was never the
rules.
same after that first year.
No question about it. Yeah, I remember Jabba Chamberlain so much. I mean, it was just like everybody was, worried about pinch count. Was he a starter? Um was he a starter? Was he a closer? All those things like that. It just never kind of went to fruition as far as that goes. Let's see. So Albert Pujols was not a free agent for long after being cut from the Angels, and I think this makes sense. The Dodgers have had some injuries. You have a situation where him and his wife probably they've been in Los Angeles as long as they've been in St. Louis, right? So
Yeah,
for him to go somewhere else, you probably might think of him still as a Cardinal, but he's been with the Angels just as long, in a lot of ways. Thoughts about the Dodgers kind of making this move here to bring him on? I mean, this is where again the National League could really he's going to play in the field, but then where National League could have really used the DH in this situation. More
yeah,
bidders
definitely,
services.
definitely could be using the DH in the National League for the situation. Um, it came out of left field. Honestly, I think about maybe the day before the morning of the signing with the Dodgers, there had been a report that they reached out to the Cardinals about coming on board and just really having a role on the team and being a mentor. Not worried about playing time, but wanted to finish his career with the Cardinals. So so that's what it looked like, and there was two different sources reporting that, and then boom, the Dodgers came out of left field, like I said, and picked him up, and yeah, it's good to veteran presence there. Um, but they've just got so much talent and so much postseason experience. He doesn't have to really worry about carrying the load like they were expecting out of him in
Mhm.
Anaheim. So it's a good move for the Dodgers.
Yeah, I think it's a smart move. They had a tough break, no pun intended, with Seager going out with a broken hand. So maybe Chris Taylor will play shortstop. I guess I walked. I when they signed Pujols, I jokingly walked by my Dodger friends and said, "Hey, you guys signing Griffey and Frank Thomas next? Like, who else you gonna sign?" But they are the move does make sense. He could play some first base. I'm not sure where Muncy goes in this equation. Maybe he goes to second base. They move Taylor over. They probably could use Um, um, Kiki now. I mean, he left and went to the and left and went to the Red Sox. I believe in
Yeah.
free agency. They could have used that versatility. Now they don't have it, so that's something that I think is something that's going to really hurt that team right now.
Yeah, it's there a lot of National League teams are going through a lot of injuries this year. The Mets are going through that phase right now. The Dodgers, we'll see what happens when they come out of it. But we've talked about it enough. Get to June and July when the Dodgers go 58-2 like they do every year,
Yes.
and see what happens.
Time to panic. Time to panic. So we were very excited about the Royals and their what they did in the offseason, getting Benintendi, trying to look like a team that could go win it. The White Sox are not having any part of it. The White Sox are on the way to maybe being able to go run and hide. I mean, in this division, Cleveland's only half game behind them, but they do have some nice pieces in Kansas City. Do you think that it's still early there? I mean, they're 6.5 back of the wild card. They're 4.5 back. Do you think that this is a team that should be kind of trying to sell parts, or just it's still early? Let's just try to get back to 500. They got to a fast start, lost 11 in a row. they could sit there and say that's not really us, or that's indicative of what we really are. What are your thoughts about the Royals here, as far as, should we panic on them right now?
Sorry. I think it's too early to panic on the Royals. I think they got some talent there. I know there's been a rumor of a Ben attendee for Frazier deal. I read that today in the Post. Someone brought that up. I think it's still too early. Shoot for the wild card. Still 6.5 games in the division. Chicago still might go through some injuries. You never know what's going to happen there. But yeah, I think it's way too early to give up on the season for the Royals.
Another team that I think it might be time to kind of bury the hatchet, if you will, would be for the Minnesota Twins. I'm not sure what they can do here. They're what, are they, 12 games under 500 right now. They're not playing good baseball. Brian Bruxton, who was playing very well, he's smoking the ball, playing a great center field for them, is hurt again. He always seems to get hurt. Unfortunately for him, he's very dynamic player when he plays, but not right now currently. But last place, I mean, they're even under the Tigers have a better record right now than the Twins. I think the Twins' luck is kind of run out here as far as being that wild card team that always seems to lose to the Yankees.
Yeah, not the Twins team that we're used to seeing. And I don't think they have it in them to make any kind of run this year. They just don't seem the same. They don't seem like that team that's gonna sneak in at the wild card and get eliminated in 3 in the Bronx. So
Yeah.
we see that every year, and we've asked the Twins not to make the playoffs. So I think we're gonna get that wish this year. We have to see who are they going to trade off. What are they going to do? I mean, Tiger fans are all over the Tigers for how bad they are, but
Yeah.
they're ahead of Minnesota. So I think Twins fans can complain a little more. But hey, they've had a incredible run of first round losses in the
Yeah.
playoffs. So yeah, but I think they'll be in the sell market.
Yeah. As far as the NL East goes, it's interesting to see kind of like, how this division is shaping up. You want to see the Mets take it. You want to see the Mets kind of really, they won some dramatic games down the stretch here, late inning ball games. But you know, the team that has the most talent, most complete squad, I think, is the Braves. But the Braves are a couple games over 500. Every time they go on a little bit of a stretch, they kind of come back down to the pack. Is this gonna? This could be like a 80 88 win battle here between these teams, especially if you got Milwaukee lurking around too. The West is a little bit better than we thought, with the Giants being good, and the Giants are actually beating the Reds tonight 5-0 as we speak. So they keep winning and keep beating bad teams. What are your thoughts about, like, hey, like, somebody in this division, could this division end up being a division where only one team makes the playoffs?
Well, I think this division is going to eat itself. I just think there's too
Yeah.
much. The teams are too close together. You could honestly see like every team going 10-8 against each other. 8-10, and then it's going to be what they do outside of the division. And who has the softer interleague schedule, because we know that tends to play a factor, especially when the Mets have to play the Yankees, and the other teams in the division I don't think are playing the Yankees this year. So it'll be interesting what goes on with that. But yeah, I think it's a division that's going to basically knock itself out of the wild card. And 88, 90 wins might do it for this division. It's just that good, and it's just that talented, even keel talent across the board. You want parity, you got it in the National League East.
No question about it.
This isn't the NFC East with you know 4 bad football teams. This is the National League East with a lot of talent.
Yeah,
um
these
you
lineups
know
are loaded.
yeah, and we're still waiting for Lindor to turn it around. I'm a big fan of Lindor, so I hope he turns it around soon.
So
He could be the factor and carry that team. and DeGrom had to miss a start. So, and I think he's going to miss another start too. But it's what's going on in the National League East right now. And I think the Mets and Braves are 0-0 right now. So I think both teams have one hit.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. We talked about the White Sox, so maybe go a little bit more in depth now. This lineup is murderous. Like I love Mercedes, Tim Anderson is one of the best shortstops in the game. They get power from all over the place. Abreu has 8 home runs already, 33 RBIs. They're getting solid pitching. So this is a team where I think that if there's a team in the American League that's going to, make a really strong push for the World Series. That management is ready to spend money to make whatever trade they have to make. They would love to steal the spotlight from the Cubs in every way. So this is a chance for Chicago to kind of make this run for a World Series title here.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just so much talent there with what they're doing. And hey, we, right now we look like we were wrong about Tony La Russa, and hopefully they continue to keep playing this well. It's not turning into Joe Gibbs coming back to the Redskins after 20 years.
That worked out well.
That did, yeah. So it's a really really interesting team. They're fun to watch. That lineup, top to bottom, a lot of depth, handling the pitching staff well. So we may have seen a change, Tony La Russa, and I think anytime there's a Chicago has a good sports team, I think it's good for sports when Chicago's up there. They have rabid fan bases out there.
Yeah, especially when you have a time. Yes, the Cubs get all the pub, but that the White Sox fan feels like maybe like a Met fan or a Clipper fan at sometimes, even though they have a World Series in recent memory.
Yeah.
So they're sitting there saying to themselves like, this is our time to really. They've been building this for a while, and they seem to have that team together. Kind of interesting that Keuchel and Giolito are the ones with the high ERAs, and Cease, Rodon, and Lance Lynn are the ones with the low ERAs. Under all three of those guys are under 2.41. But you get it how you get it as far as pitching goes. That a guy like
exactly
Lucas Giolito is going to come. Giolito is going to come around and anytime and start pitching much better as far as that goes. Around the league, any news and notes you're picking up here? What did you see the fight in the Phillies dugout? What was as far as
the Joe Girardi one?
The Joe Girardi one. What was going on with that one?
Yeah, that's a little craziness. I would take Joe Girardi in a fight. That he still looks like he could play baseball. Still gets to the gym. It looks like so. Yeah, that was quite interesting to see. Kind of a throwback to the Billy Martin days. The manager and player go at it. But everything seems to be good. Right now, and just a lot of frustration on that team. A lot of talent, and they're just not happy with the way they're playing. So, and good for Girardi for sticking up for himself.
Yeah, and you mentioned something about Benintendi possibly going to the Yankees here. My question would be, is that really what they need at this current moment? I mean, I don't. I mean, they're kind of been. They did take 2 out of 3 from the Rays recently. They usually don't. The Rays usually own them a little bit. The 2 games out of first place, they seem to be a really up and down team. Probably hoping that the Red Sox come back to the pack as far as that goes. But do you feel like that is going to be the next? I mean, he kind of obviously a left-handed bat in that lineup. I mean,
well, they're looking for a left-handed outfielder. That's their target. That's what they feel they need on this team. I mean, Frazier and just he's at 141. As out of nowhere Brett Gardner came last year, he's definitely not having the same season this year. So those 2 bats are just impacting the team. Honestly, I mean, if I'm the Yankees general manager, I'm starting, Frazier all the time. Let him get his bat going. I think it's too much spot starting for him. Let him get in the lineup and get a groove going. Stanton was out their last game with leg tightness, hamstring tightness. So we got to see what happens with that now. And Judge has been on a hot streak, but it's just a matter of time before he goes down again.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't count on Judge. And listen, but what you can count on is Giancarlo Stanton carrying your baseball team. Go ahead, Giancarlo. I love it. I love it. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. We love that. We love Giancarlo saying that on this show.
Yes, yes, we
Um,
do.